Welcome to a fine September morning in Ouray, Colorado. Our camp chef Tristan told Bill and I that we probably had half an hour to explore before breakfast. So, what do you think we did? Exactly what we were told, of course. And we kept telling ourselves the road's gonna end just around the next switchback. It's gonna end. And well, it eventually did, but that was probably 40 minutes later. But by then it was too late to turn around because this is what we found. Do you see it? That disturbance on the video? You couldn't see that with the naked eye. That's what told me this one goes back a lot further. This is the "are you sure you really wanted to walk in here" moment. Because it's pretty pitch black behind me when I turn around. There's a little light from the front. Now there's just nothing. It's pretty cool.
This is a parts cleaner. Who's the brush?
Yeah?
Oh, maybe that makes sense.
It goes back and back and back. Chain off of it. Put the piece there. Going door. If you're lucky enough to come across a gem like this when exploring, first thing you want to make sure is that you're not on private property. And second, safety second, of course. But seriously, as with any historic structure, be respectful, tread lightly, and don't cause any damage. We did eventually make it back down for breakfast, and I think, well, we may have only been about 40 minutes late. After breakfast, we packed up what we needed for the day and made sure that our maps were downloaded. Today we would be driving down the Portland Mine Road towards Ouray and then hanging a left on the $1 Million Highway. From there it was just a short drive up the highway to County Road 18, which is also a part of the Alpine Loop and known better as the road to Engineer Pass. Bill, Tristan, and I had been over Engineer Pass a few years earlier in a rental Jeep of all things. So that wasn't our destination today. Instead, we wanted to find out whether driving the Poughkeepsie Gulch Bypass was worth it. And if you haven't stopped already, make sure you stop and see Bear Creek Falls along the $1 Million Highway. It's well worth the stop. There are two ways to get into Poughkeepsie Gulch. If you want to go from the top down, you have to drive over Corkscrew and Hurricane Pass. We decided we'd go from the bottom up, and so we drove in about 2.5 miles on County Road 18. Now, County Road 18 looks innocuous enough, but just wait. Like many who drive through this area, we stop briefly to see the Michael Breen Mine. Keep in mind, this road right here is a little treacherous because most people glance over to the left and forget there's a chasm to the right. Last time we drove through here, we had to pull somebody off the edge. County Road 18 does have a few technical spots, so when you reach those, make sure to use a spotter, choose your line, and just take your time.
You can do it. I knew you could. I never doubted you. I promise I did it.
She did a good job.
Because it's crazy. Some of the stuff you look at, it's like, oh my gosh, and it just floats over like it's nothing.
That one was a little more technical. Not far after that short technical section, you'll finally find yourself at the crossroads where you can choose between going left up to Engineer Pass or turning right to go on your adventure to Poughkeepsie Gulch. This particular mud hole, well, it's actually optional. But you know how boys love to drive in the mud. And I have to admit, it does make for some pretty good video. What do you think, Kanan? Welcome to the north end of Poughkeepsie Gulch. Soon after we started driving the track, we noted several offshoot roads. It appeared that most of them went to campsites, but we really couldn't be sure about all of them. This is one of those areas where a downloaded map and GPS is very helpful.
It looks like we're staying on by the arrow.
Well, that's what we want. That might just be a campsite. Nice creek.
Same water we were looking at each lunch, I'm guessing.
I think you're right. Looks like they might end up the same place.
Poughkeepsie Gulch is a fairly short trail for the area, clocking in at a little under 4 miles. The trail itself is only rated at about a 4 or 5 out of 10, so it's a moderate trail. But what Poughkeepsie is best known for as a badge of honor trail is the section called The Wall, which is rated at a 7 or difficult out of 10. Bill and I actually had no intention of taking our Jeep up the wall on this trip. We'd seen plenty of other vehicles do it on YouTube, and knew we were probably fine driving up that way, but Bill and I are still pretty darn attached to our Jeep and didn't want to have to worry about damaging it on a difficult trail. Besides, there were still several thousand miles between where we were today and where that Jeep had to carry us all the way home. So why exactly did we want to take this route if we weren't going to drive the wall? The truth is that you drive a trail like the Poughkeepsie Gulch Bypass for the same reason you drive any other trail in this area. Because they're scenic, because they're beautiful, because every corner you turn around, there might be a view that takes your breath away, or a challenge on the road that makes you smile. You drive a trail like this to hear the wind through the pines, to feel the sun touch your face, to watch the dance of a waterfall, or bask in the sweet sound of nature. You drive a trail like this to overwhelm your senses with peace and feel alive again. Eventually, though, you have to leave behind that perfect peace and come back to face some of life's little challenges.
Hi, Kanan. You a good boy? You hanging out? We're gonna go check it out. Woo! Come! Come on! Ooh. That doesn't look like fun.
That's part of the fun.
We'll get out of here. That does look like a little bit rough right there.
Yeah. Pretty large vehicle.
Very large vehicle to be trying to get through that.
So there's a little Chevy Tracker first. We
Okay.
have to get him through.
Okay.
And then,
Now we gotta get through this
so
one.
if we can, let's see if we can move over and let you guys through.
As long as you guys are sure you can get through.
Yeah. If they got through, we'll be, the last three will be okay.
Okay. That's great, I'll film you.
A group of vehicles that we caught up to was stuck in this section. Bill went up to survey the situation and almost immediately noticed that the differential on the vehicle kept catching on a rock. After he pointed that out to the other gentlemen there, they quickly stacked some rocks and got that vehicle through. One of my favorite memories of this particular section of trail was a gentleman who said, "Jeeps get to cheat." Well, of course Jeeps get to cheat. They're designed for this kind of road. Now don't get me wrong, I'm not saying that other vehicles can't do this. There are plenty of other vehicles perfectly capable of driving Poughkeepsie Gulch. What I am saying is that with Bill behind the wheel of a Jeep, he always makes it look easy.
Massively steep.
This part of the trail is a portion of the Poughkeepsie Bypass. And sure, it's not nearly as technical or challenging as the wall, but even this section had several challenges to throw our way. Challenges like this steep S-curve on loose rock, which thankfully didn't really pose a problem for us. This bypass route didn't open until 2015. Before that, you had no choice but to go up the wall. In 1873, English prospectors found an abandoned silver mine at the head of Poughkeepsie Gulch, showing that there had been either French or Spanish mining in the area previously. Mining activity in the area continued on and off until the early 1900s. Miners in this area typically loaded their ore onto pack animals and sent them down to the smelter at Silverton for processing. But when that smelter closed, this area continued to thrive because they were just as close to the smelters in Ouray and Lake City. At the north end of the Poughkeepsie Gulch Trail, you find the small but beautiful Lake Como. From 1879 to 1881, the small mining hamlet of Poughkeepsie actually existed in this space. Poughkeepsie had a restaurant, a saloon, a store, and even a newspaper. The lake is a perfect stopover to enjoy lunch or stop to look over those maps and decide where you want to go next. For our little group, we knew exactly where we were headed next. First trail to the right and straight on till evening. And what was the first trail to the right? Why, Hurricane Pass to Corkscrew Pass, of course. As always, thanks for watching. Now go out and find your own adventure.